Somewhere in Japan right now, a toilet is greeting its user with a warm seat, soft ambient sound, and a bidet system that has more settings than most people's stereos. Somewhere else, a bullet train is pulling into a station with a 7-second delay, and the conductor is issuing a formal public apology for it. And somewhere beneath the streets of Tokyo, a cathedral-sized underground chamber is quietly protecting 12 million people from floods they'll never even know happened. These aren't experiments. These aren't future concepts sitting in some research lab. They exist right now, operating daily, built into the fabric of ordinary Japanese life. And honestly, once you learn about them, regular life starts feeling a little unfinished. Japan has this particular habit of looking at something everyone else accepts as just fine and deciding that fine isn't good enough. Not out of showing off. Not because they're obsessed with technology for its own sake, but because there's a deeply embedded cultural instinct. This idea that if something touches a person's daily life, it deserves to be thought about seriously. It deserves craft. It deserves a second, third, fourth look. The result? 12 innovations that don't just solve problems. They make you feel, just a little, like you've stepped into a world that figured something out the rest of us missed. We're starting with number 1. Picture a winter morning. You're somewhere cold. Chicago, Stockholm, Toronto, it doesn't matter. And you wake up to the sound of a plow grinding down the street at 5 in the morning. You look outside. The roads are covered in gray-white slush. Salt crystals are crusting up the curb. Your car is buried. You're going to be late. This is just winter. This is just how it works. Except in Niigata, Japan, a city that receives some of the heaviest snowfall on the planet, regularly buried us under 2 to 3 meters of snow per year. They looked at that exact scenario and essentially said, what if the road just handled it? The answer is a system called snow-melting roads, or Yukidoke Doro, where heated water pipes run beneath the pavement surface. The pipes circulate warm water continuously during snowfall, preventing accumulation entirely. No plows, no salt eating away at your car's undercarriage, no black ice at 3 in the morning. The roads in Niigata stay clear the way roads in mild climates stay clear. Naturally, invisibly, without interruption. The system uses hot spring water and industrial waste heat in some regions, making it genuinely energy conscious. Millions of people drive on those streets every winter without once thinking about what's under their tires, making it possible. That invisibility, that's the whole point. The best engineering doesn't announce itself. Now, number 2. And yes, we're doing the toilet. We have to do the toilet. But here's the thing. Calling a Japanese smart toilet simply a toilet is the equivalent of calling a Formula 1 car a vehicle. Technically accurate, wildly underselling it. The Japanese toilet, most commonly associated with the Toto Washlet brand, which has been refining this since 1980, is genuinely a different category of experience. We're talking heated seats that sense your presence and warm up before you sit down. Bidet functions with adjustable water temperature, pressure, and angle. Built-in deodorizers, soft close lids, motion sensors. Some models play ambient sound, water sounds specifically, for privacy in public restrooms, which, when you think about it, is both incredibly considerate and a little hilarious. The high-end models have Bluetooth, they have remote controls, they have user profiles. Around 80% of Japanese homes have one of these, and Japan has been exporting them globally for decades. When the 2011 earthquake and tsunami hit and power went out across parts of Japan, people mentioned missing their toilet seats with a sincerity that tells you everything about how deeply these things integrate into daily life. The rest of the world is slowly catching up, but Japan's been living in this future since before most of us had the internet. Number 3. The capsule hotel might be the most misunderstood accommodation concept Japan ever produced. When photos circulate online, the reaction is usually somewhere between fascination and mild horror, people stacked in small pods like human filing cabinets. But spend a night in one, and the experience completely reframes the idea. The original capsule hotel was designed by architect Kisho Kurokawa in Osaka in 1979, and the concept was precise. You don't need more room than you actually use. Think about a standard hotel room. You get a desk you won't sit at, a bathroom you'll use twice, a TV in a position you have to crane your neck to watch, and square footage you'll spend maybe 40% of your stay actually occupying. The capsule strips all that away and replaces a That's with exactly what sleep actually needs. A firm mattress, controlled temperature, privacy curtain, reading light, power outlet, and a small screen at a comfortable viewing angle. Modern capsule hotels have evolved into genuinely beautiful spaces. Shared lounges, high-quality bathing facilities, thoughtful lighting. The pod itself is engineered for rest. Some travelers who book capsules for budget reasons end up preferring them to traditional rooms on purpose. There's something clarifying about a space that contains precisely what it's meant to contain and nothing else. Japan has a word for that philosophy: ma, the meaningful use of negative space. The capsule hotel is mei in bed form. And if you've been enjoying this journey through Japan's quietly genius ideas, a quick, genuine ask: if you hit like and subscribe, it genuinely helps this channel reach more curious people like you. The algorithm learns what you care about from signals like that, and there are at least 8 more ideas coming up that get progressively more wild, including one that makes Tokyo's relationship with water feel like something out of a sci-fi novel. Stay with us. Number 4. You've used a vending machine. You've been mildly disappointed by a vending machine. Maybe it ate your dollar. Maybe it gave you a warm soda. Maybe the thing you wanted was sold out and the light was just broken. That's the global vending machine experience. Serviceable, neutral, occasionally frustrating. Japan has roughly 4 million vending machines, one for every 25 people, and they exist on mountain trails, in hospital hallways, on rice paddy roads, in the middle of nowhere in Hokkaido, where the nearest convenience store is 40 minutes away. They sell hot canned coffee, cold canned coffee, warm miso soup, fresh ramen in a cup, beer, sake, umbrellas, neckties, flowers, surgical masks, live beetles, yes, in season, for children who collect them. And in at least one famous location in Gunma Prefecture, a machine dispenses fresh eggs directly from a local farm. They are also, increasingly, solar-powered and connected to IoT systems that monitor stock levels and temperature in real time. Japanese vending machines are restocked frequently, kept immaculately clean, and, this is perhaps the most telling detail, almost never vandalized. They are trusted infrastructure. The whole ecosystem is a quiet statement about the relationship between a society and its public spaces. Number 5. The word convenience store is doing a lot of heavy lifting in most countries. It's convenient the way that duct tape is a solution. Technically functional, not something you'd ever describe as elegant. And then there's the Japanese konbini, 7-Eleven Japan, Family Mart, Lawson. These are not the same animal as their Western namesakes. They are genuinely extraordinary institutions. You can pay your taxes at a konbini. You can send packages, receive packages, print government documents, apply for event tickets, get a full hot meal made fresh behind the counter, buy quality onigiri that puts most sit-down restaurants in other countries to shame, access an ATM, pay utility bills, fax something, temises. He fax machine endures in Japan, and get a remarkably good cup of coffee from a machine that grinds the beans fresh. The 7-Eleven in Japan and the 7-Eleven in, say, Florida are so different in quality and scope that they're essentially different brands who happen to share a logo. Konbini culture has its own aesthetic. The warm light, the specific smell of steaming nikuman pork buns, the soft chime when you walk in. Japanese college students have been writing thesis papers on the sociology of konbini for decades. They are, in a very real sense, the living rooms of urban Japan. Open 24 hours, rain or earthquake or pandemic. The konbini did not close during COVID. The konbini does not close. Number 6. The average delay of a Japanese Shinkansen bullet train in the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 was approximately 54 seconds. Not per trip. That's the average across all departures. For context, a UK train is considered on time if it arrives within 10 minutes of the scheduled time. Amtrak in the United States has an on-time performance that hovers, generously, around 77%. And that's for trains that might be running an hour behind. The Shinkansen, which first launched in 1964 for the Tokyo Olympics, traveling at 210 kilometers per hour on a brand new dedicated track, has operated for over half a century with 0 passenger fatalities due to derailments or collisions. 0. In over 10 billion passenger journeys. The trains clean themselves between runs in a 12-minute turnaround process so precise it's been used as a model for efficiency training in industries from healthcare to manufacturing. The cleaning crew, the Tessay team in their red uniforms, have become famous for their speed and professionalism. They've been the subject of management books. When a Shinkansen is genuinely, significantly delayed, The operator issues a formal certificate of delay that passengers can present to their employers as an official excuse, because the system is so reliable that being late is considered a documentation-worthy event. It's not just engineering. It's a philosophy about what punctuality means as a form of respect. Number 7. Most cities treat their manholes like an unfortunate necessity. A gray disc of cast iron that exists so the street doesn't collapse into the sewer and that nobody is supposed to notice or think about. Japan took a different approach. Across the country, municipalities have transformed their manhole covers into works of art. Colorful, intricately designed, each one specific to its city or town. Matsumoto features its famous castle in cherry blossom season. Shizuoka has Mount Fuji. Osaka has an octopus. Some covers are ceramic glazed with vivid paint. Some commemorate local legends. A small but passionate community of collectors, called drain spotters, and yes, that's a real community, travel Japan specifically to photograph and document these covers. There are over 150,000 unique designs across the country. The initiative began in the 1980s as a way to increase public access, chance of infrastructure investment. If people liked how the covers looked, they'd be more supportive of the underground systems they protected. It worked. It also accidentally created one of the most delightful forms of public art in the world. Art you literally walk over, at street level, built into the fabric of infrastructure. Every time you cross a Japanese street, you might be stepping on someone's painting. Number 8. Crossing the street sounds simple. For the 253 million people globally who live with some form of significant visual impairment, it is not simple. It requires trust in a system you can't fully perceive. Trusting that the light changed, that cars have stopped, that the direction you're walking is the right one. Japan's pedestrian crossing system addresses this with a combination of tactile paving and what's called the cuckoo and pigeon audio signal system. Different crossings play different bird sounds, or musical tones, depending on which direction you're crossing. East-west might be a cuckoo call, north-south might be a melodic chime. The sounds play at green, stop at red, and are loud enough to locate but calibrated not to disturb nearby residents at night. The tactile paving, those raised yellow dots and ridges you see on Japanese sidewalks, was invented here by Seiichi Miyake in 1965, first installed in Okayama, and has since been adopted in over 100 countries. It predates most countries' formal accessibility legislation by decades. Japan built accessibility infrastructure not because regulations demanded it, but because the idea of designing a city that only works for some people apparently struck enough people as clearly unacceptable. Number 9. Beneath the streets of Kasukabe, in Saitama Prefecture just north of Tokyo, there is a structure that looks like it belongs in a movie about ancient underground temples. 5 concrete silos, each 70 meters deep and 30 meters wide, connected by a tunnel over 6 kilometers long, feeding into a water tank the size of a baseball field, 25.4 meters tall, supported by 59 pillars, each one 2 meters thick. This is the Metropolitan Area Outer Underground Discharge Channel, completed in 2006, and it is one of the most remarkable pieces of civil engineering ever built. Tokyo sits at the convergence of several rivers in a low-lying basin, and before this system existed, seasonal flooding regularly devastated neighborhoods, damaging property, displacing families, and in extreme cases causing fatalities. The underground channel captures overflow from 5 rivers during heavy rain events and redirects the water to the Edo River for controlled release. Since becoming operational, it has reduced flood-affected area by roughly 65% in the zones it serves, prevented around 7 billion yen per year in flood damage, and protected millions of people who live above it from disasters they don't even know they were protected from. Tours are available. Visitors stand in that cathedral-sized water tank during dry periods and look up at the forest of concrete pillars and the ceiling 25 meters above and feel, quite reasonably, like they're inside something impossible. It exists because Tokyo decided that flooding, something ancient, elemental, and assumed to be inevitable, was actually a solvable engineering problem. Number 10. In most of the world, broken means finished. A cracked ceramic bowl goes in the bin. A torn piece of fabric is thrown away. The object had a lifespan, and it ended. Japan has 2 traditions that fundamentally challenge that assumption, and together they form one of the most quietly profound design philosophies you'll encounter. The first is kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. The cracks are not hidden. They are highlighted, gilded, made the most visually striking part of the repaired object. The philosophy underneath this is explicit. The break is part of the object's history, and history makes things more valuable, not less. A bowl repaired with kintsugi is considered more beautiful than the original. The second tradition is boro, the practice of mending worn textiles with visible patches and stitching, often in contrasting colors or thread, so that the history of use becomes part of the textile's visual identity. Both traditions are having a significant cultural moment globally right now, influencing sustainable fashion, repair cafes, design philosophy, and mental health discourse about imperfection and resilience. Japan's relationship with objects, this sense that things deserve care and that wear tells a story worth keeping, feels increasingly radical in a world organized around disposability. These aren't antiques, they're a worldview. Number 11. This one's subtle, easy to miss if you're not paying attention, but once you notice it, you'll wonder why it isn't everywhere. On Japanese public transit, in subway stations, on buses, in train cars, you'll observe that a significant portion of people carry bags that are partially or entirely transparent. Clear tote bags, see-through compartments on backpacks, mesh pockets on the outside of cases. This isn't a fashion accident or a quirk. It's a deeply practical response to the reality of shared public space. When your bag is visible, the people around you can see at a glance that nothing is hidden. Nothing unusual is being concealed. It reduces anxiety in crowded environments. It speeds up security checks. It creates a subtle but real sense of shared transparency. In a culture that prizes social harmony, being visibly harmless is a considered act. Schools in Japan often require transparent bags precisely because it reduces the social friction of searches and checks. Beyond the civic function, there's an aesthetic here too. Japanese designers have turned clear bags into genuinely beautiful objects. The Fumi Tanaka Studio, among others, has produced transparent bag collections that are collector's items. Functional honesty made beautiful. The bag as social contract. Number 12. We close on the one that genuinely feels like science fiction that forgot to stay fictional. Japan's relationship with robotics and artificial intelligence in hospitality and service is not a gimmick. It's decades-long infrastructure. The Henna Hotel, which opened in Nagasaki in 2015 and has since expanded, is staffed almost entirely by robots. A velociraptor and a humanoid robot greet guests at check-in. Yes, a velociraptor, because why not? And robotic arms store luggage. Voice-activated systems control room settings. A small robot in your room responds to spoken questions, adjusts lighting, handles wake-up calls. The hotel holds a Guinness World Record for the most robots employed by a hotel. Now, it hasn't been without difficulties. The robots have been reduced from over 243 to around 100 after the hotel found that some were creating more work than they saved. Human staff still handle complex guest needs. But what the Henna Hotel represents isn't so much a finished product as a live laboratory. Japan's stress testing the boundaries of automated hospitality to understand where robotics genuinely helps and where human presence is irreplaceable. It's experimentation at full operational scale. Beyond hotels, Japan's use of robotics is pervasive. Robotic systems in manufacturing that have been standard since the 1970s. Care robots designed to assist elderly populations in a country with one of the world's oldest demographics, robotic customer service kiosks, automated sushi conveyor belts with touchscreen ordering, and AI systems that predict train maintenance failures before they occur. The common thread isn't technology for spectacle. It's technology deployed thoughtfully against real, specific problems. Aging populations, labor shortages, precision requirements that exceed human consistency. The robots in Japan aren't replacing people because it's cool. They're solving problems that people alone couldn't solve at the scale Japan needs. That's the distinction. And it's everything. 12 ideas. Each one a small proof that the gap between "that's just how things are" and "what if they didn't have to be" is exactly where the interesting work happens. Japan doesn't have a monopoly on ingenuity, but it has a particular cultural instinct for taking the ordinary seriously, for deciding that even something as mundane as a manhole cover, a crosswalk signal, or a bag you carry on a train deserves to be thought through completely. That instinct produces magic. Not the stage kind, the real kind. The kind that makes life quietly, measurably, genuinely better. If this video gave you at least one moment of genuine wonder, a like means a lot. It tells the algorithm this content is worth sharing with more curious people. Subscribe if you want to keep going down rabbit holes like this one. And if you want to see what happens when Japan applies this same obsessive thoughtfulness to something else entirely, there's a video waiting for you right now that I think you'll love. See you there.